running up the score. Jerry.
He just sucks.
He's not good.
let's just put it out on the table. He's not a good quarterback.
Oh, way to join a team that already won a title.
You know, Ben is unique. These guys are unique. They're championship runs. I mean, this one's unique.
Let's hope some people still get thrown at and, get hit in baseball.
Keep it interesting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I can't take this guy serious right now.
I dare you to watch it and tweet us. Tell us, oh, you know what? This is a hell of a sport.
Where's this been all my life?
The New York Jets you know what they need to do with their second round pick? They need to just start taking it and lighting it up on fire.
Where's that quarter? Let me look at that one more time.
This is Running Up the Score. And it starts now.
All right, it's time to run up the score. Running up the score live on Zenolive and Periscope, brought to you by Yelphi Sports app. We have a lot to get to today. We have another great week of not just NFL, but it's in all the sports. I mean, how many of you wanted more, especially yesterday, between the shootout in Seattle between just Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson, or how about the back-and-forth thrilling World Series Game 5? It was everything. I mean, what a day, what a week. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
I'm here again with Trent Caldwell. We got a great show ahead of us. I mean, what else could we start off with? It's got to be the World Series Game 5. That's
what a great day to be in Houston, right?
Right.
Like, wow, you got probably the best NFL game we've seen all year, followed by, the World Series. It just keeps on giving. It's
yeah. I mean, I felt like it was, one team went up 3, the next team hit a 3-run home run. It was just back and forth the whole game. And it was a game pitched by Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
And the game ended up 13-12.
Well, we've seen this before from Kershaw where he, in the postseason, not really in the regular season, where he starts out strong and then kind of falls off the map. I judge these things, though, by my wife's reaction. Shout out to Mrs. Sporthard. Sporthard, by the way, is my show.
Okay.
You can check that out on SoundCloud.com.
There you go.
Some other TrentCaldwell.com. Whatever. But she repeatedly she could not leave the couch, and my wife she likes sports enough because I like it, but and she has her teams and she's slowly adopted my teams, but when she is actually riveted, then I know we're on to something. And if you can capture that demographic, your ratings will never suffer.
Oh, I know, and it's not just like we said, like you were saying, it's not just the sports fan. It's not just the baseball fans. I mean, that captured everybody. I mean, if you weren't thrilled or if you weren't on the edge of your seat throughout that whole game, you might as well check your pulse.
Well, you couldn't get up to get something to drink, or you missed something. I mean, that was how much it went back and forth. It was every inning.
I probably would have appreciated it more if I was home. I was at work, actually. I was working the game, so I couldn't leave work until that game was over. So it was more like, all right,
you also
I want this
couldn't
game.
Share it with anybody.
Well, yeah, that too. I just, I wanted to get it done with. But, I mean, I appreciated it to the point of a fan, like, this is a great game. I mean, this is unbelievable. Altuve, I mean, is there a better story in sports than Jose Altuve, a guy that went for a tryout with the Astros and was told to go home?
Who's 5'4"?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 5'4", making it in any sport that's not like being a jockey in horse racing is super difficult.
Yeah. And I mean, just overall, there's just everything about this series is great. And later on, we're going to discuss the differences between the greatness of last year's World Series to this year's World Series, because I think we've gotten 2 great World Series matchups the last 2 years, and it's going to bring up that question: is baseball back?
Did it leave?
Well, yeah.
I guess.
To the fan of maybe I guess non-baseball fans, because
it feels like it's been passed a little by the NBA, especially globally.
Yes.
And the NBA, and this is still a problem baseball's going to have, the NBA has the more marketable stars.
Yeah.
You recognize the star. They have, even more than the NFL, they have the stars. The players, which is one of the reasons the players have such a good players union deal in the NBA, is because they control so much of the conversation and where the money goes. Whereas these other sports, it's more the team and the name and the jersey.
Well, that's
per
the
se.
thing. It's all about branding that player. And I mean,
Right.
NBA is probably the best sport in branding the player rather than the team. I mean, you still have the teams like the Lakers, the Celtics, those big-time teams, but other than that, I mean, you're talking about branding of the players. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, guys like that. There's branding towards those players that you don't see in baseball.
Well, also, if you watch them interviewed in the NBA culture, it's okay to speak your mind.
Well, yeah,
in these other organizations, you can often get whipped for speaking your mind. So hockey, it's the worst.
Yeah.
In hockey, every hockey interview is the worst, unless there's a couple exceptions to this rule. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Nashville guy, African-American player.
Oh, PK Subban.
PK Subban's pretty good, but I mean, outside of him and a couple other guys, they're really just we did a really good job on the ice tonight. My teammates, I was there for my teammates. We looked down, but it's just this one note, boring. Baseball's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So a little bit better than hockey, and in the NFL maybe a little step up. But NBA, just watch the post game shows, watch the Garnett Barkley, those guys. They make better post career announcers because they'll say whatever on their mind.
Exactly.
And that's part of the branding. You want that branding. You got to put yourself out there. You got to make yourself an individual, and teams frown on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Houston Astros now, they're getting to that point. I mean, you're looking at a Jose Altuve, you're looking at a Carlos Correa, you're looking at Alex Bregman, guys that are kind of making a name for themselves. And when you're starting to think about the Houston Astros, those are the names that are going to be coming up, because you look at other teams and you're like, maybe I got one or two guys that are well known. The Houston Astros are starting to get to that point where
even Brad Peacock's gotten some play.
Yeah, I mean, you got Justin Verlander, Dallas Keuchel, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman. I mean, Yuli Gurriel, which
he kind of made his name for himself in the wrong way, but
for a different reason. But just overall, I mean, when you look at the Dodgers, you look at Bellinger, you look at Chase Utley, guys like that are somewhat well known. Clayton Kershaw, which is obviously one of the better. If
people
not the
should
best.
know him more. I mean, he hasn't purported himself well in the big moments.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I picked the Dodgers to make the World Series, but I thought this would be his breakout. And his first game he pitched, he was exceptional. And it looked like last night was headed that way.
Yeah.
After 3 innings. I mean, everything was working for him, and then it just stopped. Yeah. And I don't know why this happens to him. It's obviously a mental block. It's like, why can't John Lester throw to first? Or, it's one of those things. But I want the generation of people coming up to know how good Kershaw was, and I don't think anyone gets it quite.
No.
Because with Pedro Martinez and Randy Johnson, those guys all had their moments.
Yeah.
But you can make an argument that stuff-wise, Clayton Kershaw is the best pitcher we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah,
in terms of just the evolution of pitching. And he's not going to, if he doesn't have that moment, then he may not get remembered historically quite the way we want him to.
This is his best chance to get it done. We
may not get another one.
That's what I'm saying. This is his best chance. And, who knows? He might start to, fall off, with his stuff. But you don't know. But there's a lot of talk this World Series, even this postseason, when it comes to the baseballs.
Sure.
They're talking about a slick baseball.
Juiced. The players aren't juiced, the baseballs are.
Yeah.
And they are. That's actual scientific fact. I mean, they've measured them. I think they're tighter wound or whatever. I'm not sure about the science. I mean, I don't have the analytics in front of me, but it's statistically it's bore out. Like we've seen 8 home runs, 7 home run games. We've had the most home runs in any game since Giants Angels.
And this is the most home runs
Barry Bonds
in a World Series altogether in a series,
Right.
and we're only through 5 games. There's 2 more games.
So they've passed all the steroid era World Series in home
exactly.
runs. So something is, and these aren't hitters' parks. I mean,
No.
Minute Maid is in middle of the pack,
Yeah.
but Dodger Stadium's not.
No, absolutely not. So I mean, overall, there's so much to go in with this World Series, and I mean, I can't get enough of it. And I'm a Yankees fan, and I just watched my team get. You're a Cubs fan. You just watched your team get knocked out by the one team in the World Series. I watched my team get knocked out by the one team in the World Series. It's still interesting to watch, and I had the stat that I was telling you before the game, before the show. This is the second year in a row that the World Series beat Sunday Night Football in the ratings as playing, together on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. So that's big for baseball.
Oh, yeah. I mean, however, they didn't beat last year's ratings-wise.
No.
They still have not surpassed that, and there's different reasons for that. I mean, one of the other things that people forget about because we haven't seen the Astros there is that that's a huge market.
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of the markets come into play. And still, with all of that, it's still down from last year. But I brought this point up when we talked about football and everyone talking about ratings, which is a huge. I've never heard anyone talk about ratings so much in the last few days. Like, ratings are down everywhere because people just aren't watching television. I mean, that's just a matter of fact. And you can freak out and you can blame. In the NFL, one side blames standing for the anthem, the other side blames the Kaepernick not getting a break for the ratings decline.
Yeah.
It's just a ratings decline.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
And people just see the ratings decline, that's it. But when you really think about it, that ratings decline is still ahead of every single other thing
absolutely.
in TV.
Yep.
So it's not that big of a deal.
I mean,
it's really not.
You remember when there was the are we going to go to DVD or what was the other one that came out? There was like a fight between Blu-ray and HD DVD.
Yeah.
And what won it was porn. Porn went with Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I think with live television, it's gonna the race that we've kind of seeing is going to come down to live sporting events.
Yeah.
Because you cannot anymore tape a game.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
And that's the biggest thing, when it comes to everything else. People are so, I guess, impatient, and they want it now.
Yeah.
Like, everything has to be now. That's why Netflix is skyrocketing with their TV shows. Mm-hmm. You're seeing Amazon come out with their TV shows. You're seeing streaming. And what happens with these Netflix shows, the Amazon shows, they come out with the full season. So you know what? They're like, all right, here's the full season. You go binge watch. And that's the biggest thing with people nowadays. They're so impatient that they want to see everything right now.
Let me ask you a question. If you could binge watch the Cowboys season, would you do it? If they said, okay, here's all 13 games, I'm going to give them to you right now.
Wow, that's a good question.
Would you do it? I mean, let's say everyone can do it, so it could get spoiled for you if you don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that spoils the whole season.
Absolutely, yeah, me too.
But I'm very when it comes to the Cowboys, I'm very impatient as well. So it's like I can't wait till Sunday because you got that week in between. It's like, oh God. But I think I would let it play out. To be honest with you, I don't think I would go through it.
I would for the Bengals' perspective, I would just skip the Steeler games.
Yeah,
I'll just skip to the end. I know how this ends. We can't protect our quarterback, and it doesn't end well.
You sweat out this game this week.
I sweat them all out. Their offensive line's so bad, it's not even. I can't even talk about it.
Well, being that we're getting into football and we're talking about ratings, how about the Cowboys and the Redskins being the highest watched event yesterday, which is not surprising, I guess you would say.
Yeah, if it's going to be, it's going to be the Cowboys. It's such a huge draw, and the Redskins is a big draw too, even though half their team is gone. Yeah,
the injury bug has definitely hit them hard. But even speaking of injuries, the gruesome injury with Zach Miller, tight end for the Chicago Bears, dislocated his knee. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't it. It potentially could have gotten worse. I mean, there was talks this morning of he might lose the leg.
Yeah, it was a damaged artery. They had to graft some skin, whatever they do to,
he had
to like
successful
repair your
surgery.
artery.
Yeah.
And they did it, and they had to save his leg,
Yeah.
more or less. So I don't know what that means going forward, but he's certainly not playing this year.
No,
I would
definitely. And he's an older player, so
but that's
his
just a kind of a
career-
freak accident. Like just
I mean, how
that-
many times has he jumped up and caught a ball in the end zone? Like it was just I don't even know how it happens. Like how does that happen?
Well, look,
I guess you just
it's-
land wrong.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
So something was going on with his knee leading up to that, and that was just a straw that kind
Yeah.
of broke the camel's back. You one jump too many,
Yeah.
one twist too many, and
Yeah,
the
I
older you
guess.
get, the more likely you're. Like, I'm more likely to go in the gym and dislocate my shoulder than
Yeah.
I was at 22.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe not me, but other guys, like
Yeah.
normal guys.
Andrew Luck, another setback when it comes to Andrew Luck. And, when you really talk about Andrew Luck, is this more so of the Colts trying to put this out to just kind of sit him out the whole season? Because, has anybody, you just play, your team just played the Colts this week. This team's bad overall.
Yeah, but Brissett's not.
No,
Brissett's actually looked pretty good.
He's actually
he had some
pretty
good throws
yeah.
in that game.
But and
our defense is good. I mean, the Bengals aren't good, but the defense is good.
No, yeah, definitely. And I was actually just watching The Herd with Colin Cowherd, and he even said it. He's like, I think that the Colts are using this to kind of sit out Andrew Luck for the season. They're trying to play out Jacoby Brissett here and trade him for draft picks and just try to stockpile draft picks,
sure,
and put a new team together for Andrew Luck next year.
But if Andrew Luck could come back and wanted to, he would come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is just kind of icing on the cake that Brissett looks to be this good, and you could possibly leverage that into something if you're the Colts. I mean, the Colts aren't very good. I mean, they had a lot of the Bengals did a lot to beat themselves in that game.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't so much the Colts inserting their will in the Bengals. There were some dumb fumbles and a lot of false start penalties and stuff like that. So I mean, Luck, I wouldn't watch the Colts and Luck and be in a hurry to run back, but just being a competitor and being in the NFL, these guys want to play if they can play.
Absolutely,
Like, you got to be begging them not to play.
Just to go over a few games of Week 8 that were kind of telling, I guess, towards the rest of their season and just even this week. I guess we'll start off with the Atlanta Jets game. The Jets had the lead for most of this game. I think it even came down to maybe midway through the third quarter where they still had the lead. And Atlanta just played bad overall. And, maybe that's due to the rain. And they're a dome team.
I think it very much. I think it had a lot to do with the rain. They actually didn't look as incompetent offensive scheme-wise as they usually do. They were shaking it up a little bit. Obviously, the weather kept them down. But Matt Ryan actually showed some signs to me of coming out of, I wouldn't call it a funk because he's been average, but he hasn't been near what he was last year. I mean, they got to get the ball to Julio Jones more. I don't know why that continues to be a problem. But, I mean, they're still adjusting to a new offensive coordinator. Like, these things happen.
Yeah.
You don't just throw in a guy and have it just click all of a sudden. Like, they're still learning their roles. Not to mention, they haven't gotten Vic Beasley back. They're a different team when he's on the field. They only have so many defensive stars.
Yeah.
They got Trufant, they got Beasley, they got
Karis McKinley, their draft pick. But, he's still, got his, I guess you could say, his water legs.
Right. You got like
I don't
know, Grady Jarrett's all right. You got, whatever. You got, but nobody blows you away.
And with Atlanta, I said in the beginning of the season that I didn't think that they were going to be as good as they were last year, and I think I said that a lot had to do with Kyle Shanahan leaving that team. Kyle Shanahan turned around Matt Ryan, just overall, just for that 1 year, but I think it was big for their success was Kyle Shanahan. And, they're showing the weaknesses, I guess, of Matt Ryan this year. So
we've seen this before, though, right, where the NFL is kind of a tale of two halves.
Yeah.
So you really want to be playing well in the second half. I mean, if you look at a team like Pittsburgh's looked as good or better than anybody, they've only lost 2 starters on offense all year on their whole team. So injuries, they've gotten lucky on the injury front. If that starts creeping in, you might see a different Steeler team.
Well, and
the Chiefs were on a roll and started losing guys. I mean, they're going to be a team that jumps up in the second half. That's when you want to be playing well. Right now is kind of – so the Falcons I could see being – the team they were as they kind of get their legs under themselves.
Yeah, and even speaking about Pittsburgh, I mean Pittsburgh. I feel like if it wasn't for Ben Roethlisberger, this team would have skyrocketed. I think they'd be even better.
Yeah.
I think he's the one that's really the weakness of that team, which is sad to say, but he kind of is.
Well, early on, especially early on.
I mean. If like everybody's talking about the Juju Smith-Schuster 97-yard pass, that was a great pass. Don't get me wrong. But what about the pass right before that, where he overthrew a 6'7" tight end in Jesse James?
Yeah.
It just overall there's a lot of throws in Ben Roethlisberger's games the last couple of weeks that just are not Ben Roethlisberger-like. He just hasn't looked to par.
He doesn't look as dialed in. He's got
exactly.
It feels like he's got one foot out the door.
Yeah,
like someone forgot to tell the other half of Ben Roethlisberger you didn't retire.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like it just I don't know. It seems weird to me. I feel like this team could be so much better. I mean, with the firepower that they have on offense, I feel like they could be skyrocketing.
Well, I mean, they're bound. The injury luck's got to change, and then I mean, they're more than likely to head the other way than they are to head bigger. So I don't know. I mean, they're still, the way the league's going, you're still good enough to make a run.
Yeah.
Like nobody's jumped out to me as a world beater.
No, and
I mean, not even the Patriots.
What everybody is thinking as a world beater is Philadelphia Eagles. And they're 7-1, and don't get me wrong. That's 7-1. That's great. They're at that point. They've been given the teams that they've taken the teams and gotten wins with the teams that they've been given. And don't get me wrong, that's not on that's not their fault. But to me, I'm not sold fully on the Philadelphia Eagles.
I am though, because who is good? Like who's has played a gauntlet of a schedule?
Yeah.
I can't name one team because everyone's kind of average.
Yeah.
So to me, the Eagles are in great shape because they have all these home games coming up.
Well, that's the thing. They're 7-1. They put themselves in the position to, when they do start to play, most of their better teams that they're going to play is all at the end of it's like a chunk at the end of their season. It's like the last 5 or 6 games where they played some pretty rough teams. But right now, I mean, they got Denver next week. Who knows what kind of Denver team you're going to see? And we'll talk about that when we get
coming
into
off
the
a short
picks.
week too.
Yeah. So overall, just the Eagles haven't really gotten me to be, I guess, on their side because of who they played. So to me, I'm not sold on them, but I know a lot of people are. They pick up the win against the San Francisco 49ers, 33-10. But another team
but here's the thing though too. Like the Eagles take care of business. Like
that's
the 49ers have played everybody tough, and the Eagles came in there and blew their door, or the San Francisco came in Philly and they blew their doors off.
Yeah, Dallas did too. So.
I mean, sure. Look, I know there's some bias going on here. Philly has looked better than Dallas so far. So
yeah. But they, like I said, I felt like the Cowboys had a little bit of a rougher schedule, but Philadelphia is going to start to see that rougher schedule at the end of the season. I guess as a Cowboys fan, I'm a little bit more at ease because we got rid of it at the beginning of the season. The big thing that's holding, basically the dark cloud that's over the Dallas Cowboys right now is what the hell's going to happen to Ezekiel Elliott? And we're going to find that out this week. Mm-hmm. Is he going to stay for the rest of the season? Is he going to see the 6-game suspension? Who knows? But, one team that has had the injury bug hit them right in the back, I guess you could say, no pun intended. Oakland, what's up with Oakland? What's their deal?
Well,
I mean, overall, their defense hasn't looked good. Their offense hasn't looked good.
They're the classic big expectations, haven't done anything yet team. Usually this is Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But this is Oakland this year, and they're just not that good on defense.
No.
They're not. I mean, Buffalo just ran up and down them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love Buffalo.
So
I talked
do I.
about them last
Yeah.
week. Buffalo, they don't have any superstars.
No.
You got a lot of guys you're not going to know. I mean, the only top 100 player I think they have is
LaShawn
Incognito and McCoy.
Yeah.
But even then, McCoy, it depends on his health.
Yeah.
When he's healthy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And but they don't beat themselves.
No.
And in this day and age in the NFL, the Patriots make a living off of it.
Yeah.
We're just gonna little short pass. We're gonna make you blink.
Yeah.
So we're gonna drive you nuts getting little 5-yard plays until you try to do something crazy.
Yeah.
We're not going to because we don't have the guns for that.
Yeah, and even with the quarterback that they have in Tyrod Taylor, he's kind of pissing teams off by, they're getting a clean rush on him, and he's breaking out of it because, he's a mobile quarterback. And, like we said, they're dumping him off. He's breaking a sack here.
He's a better thrower than people think, too.
Oh, yeah,
who's he
definitely.
have to throw to?
Yeah.
It's like, he makes do.
They get rid of his one
Right.
receiver, so
he knows exactly what he is, and Alex Smith does this too, which is why the Kansas City is so good. He knows exactly what he is, and he doesn't try to go outside of that.
And you know what's even that makes you even boggle your mind even more is that they're getting rid of their better players. They trade away Marcel Darius this past week. They got rid of Sammy Watkins. I mean, they're getting ready to get rid of some more players that they're looking to get rid
Darius
of.
at the time couldn't even crack their rotation.
Well, yeah.
So that's a depth piece that they lost.
I think it's more of attitude problems with him too. Behavioral problems they just wanted to clean their hands of.
They might keep Cordy Glenn though. He's been playing too well.
That's what I'm saying.
At this point, you might want to hang on to him.
The Eagles are actually in rumors to go after Cordy Glenn. Another one that they're talking about is Dwayne Brown.
Dwayne Brown's the big rumor because the Bengals need a tackle too. So
Yeah.
anyone who needs a tackle is now looking at this.
Yeah.
But because he's the biggest vocal proponent against Bob McNair, and they think they want him out of there for that reason.
It first started with the contract. He just came back last week from his little contract, holdout. So, that's that I think was the start of it. And then all of a sudden, the Bob McNair comments, and he took over that and made himself the number one vocalist to that.
Well, look, those are all. It's awful. Like you can apologize all you want, but you basically said how you really feel.
Yeah.
That you're running and you're the warden of an inmate asylum.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. This idea that these wealthy old white guys look at these. It just so happens that a majority of their players are African American, but I think they view everybody that way.
Yeah.
I think they view everybody as beneath them, and they're paying the bills, but they don't understand that without the superstars, you don't
get money.
Have any of this.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't think he meant it in a racist way. I think it just came out that way. To be honest with you.
It's not the racist part that bothers me, though. It's the control part.
Well, yeah, that by all means,
you have no
that's
rights
definite,
as an employee of mine.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like I felt like it was just kind of taken out of context, but
I think what Dan Snyder said was worse, where he said 96% of people want everyone to stand for the anthem, which there's no statistical basis of that.
Yeah.
In fact, someone did a 1,000-person survey, and it was 47% for standing and 53 against. Now, that's a small sample size, but it's certainly not 96, a number you just made up.
Yeah.
Not to mention your team already has the most racist name in sports. So, to me, what he's doing is more egregious because he thinks and believes exactly what Bob McNair does.
Yeah.
He just knows better not to say it.
Yeah, exactly. Houston, Seattle, probably the best game of the week. Deshaun Watson has been everything that the Texans have wanted and the Browns have dreamed of, even though the Browns gave up on him. Mm-hmm. The Browns didn't draft him. They didn't draft Carson Wentz. And they're kind of feeling the after effects, I guess. I saw a stat that this year the leaders for touchdowns is Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson with 19 touchdowns.
Yes.
The Browns overall, through their three quarterbacks, have thrown 17 interceptions.
Have the Browns thrown that many touchdowns in the last 5 years?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But, yeah, this guy is honestly, something that as a team, as an organization, would love to draft. That's your dream drafted quarterback. And they got him, 20-something? So
yeah.
It's crazy. And the thing that I've had a problem, though, with is Bill O'Brien. He's not showing any type of trust in Deshaun Watson at all. I mean, it comes down to a 3rd and 4.
I absolutely agree with this. Yeah.
Comes down to a 3rd and 4. You're up by 4 points. Who's the one guy that you're going to want the ball in his hands? Lamar Miller or, Deshaun Watson, especially after the game that he's been having. You're up 38-34 because of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, look, there are certain times, and some coaches do this. I think Marvin Lewis does it for the Bengals a little bit too.
Yeah.
Where they refuse to play the rookies.
Yeah.
It's like, I only trust my veterans. Well, look, if the rookie's better, put him in.
Yeah.
Like, Deshaun Watson is now your leader. Like, you've got to let him lead. You got to take the gloves off him. I mean, you weren't even going to – you wanted to start another guy in front of him.
Well, that was the next thing that I was going to say. It's a joke that he didn't start the season off.
Right. You always get this, though. It's always like, I don't want to wreck his confidence. Have you seen Deshaun Watson in college? He's not scared of anything. Yeah. Alabama had the best college defense I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Most NFL-ready college defense. If you look at the guys on that team this year and next year and the following years, you're going to see why as they all compete in the NFL. You're already seeing it with Eddie Jackson and Jonathan Allen and those guys. But, he didn't even blink twice in a row.
Nope.
He does not care. You're not going to rattle him. You got to know this about the guy. It's like you never had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who's giving his paychecks to people who were hurt in a hurricane. Like, this is your leader.
Yeah.
It's been hand gifted to you. Like, for you to overlook it shows a misunderstanding of your team and its culture.
Yeah, I think Bill O'Brien really has to start to trust him. And I think you heard it in the post-game press conference with Bill O'Brien that he feels that he should have. And you'll probably see that more now going through the rest of the season. But, Dallas gritted one out against Washington, 33-19. The game was a 7-point game up until Cousins throwing a pick six with about a minute and a half left. But I think the biggest part of this game was the blocked field goal. I think that changed the momentum, especially that Orlando Scandrick took it down to the 5-yard line. They scored maybe two plays later. I think that changed the game. That changed, that whole the momentum of that game. They go into instead of going down by 9, they go up by 1 going into halftime. So
this game to me kind of rolled everything up in a nice, neat ball. Defined the week, which was just sloppy, blocked special teams plays, fumbled balls. This stuff was happening all over. Anywhere there wasn't a dome and people were playing outside,
I felt
this
like
was
every game
happening.
It was raining.
Yeah, yes.
Every game.
It was raining and in some cases almost snowing, and it was just nasty out all the way around. And we got kind of, except for that Houston-Seattle game, ugly football really all the way around, except for that one. Beautiful
That was the
one.
ironic thing, was that it was raining everywhere else, but the place that it rains the most in the United States, it's sunny. So it was pretty funny. But before we get into the next segment, we're gonna get into some college talk, some more maybe World Series talk. Preview of the next 2 games or 1, who knows. We're gonna get into our picks. And some NBA talk. Maybe the Cavs and the Warriors are opening the door for other teams. So, but doesn't it get annoying when you're watching sports? Let's say you want to send a text to your friend or tweet something out about the game or check your fantasy team.
I know I do.
Or, hey, how about you want to go to the game and even set up a tailgate party? I mean, who doesn't like to set up a tailgate party?
Yeah.
And you have to go to all these different apps, websites, etc. to do all of that. What if you could go to one place for all of this? I'm here to tell you there is a place like that.
Okay.
Yelphi Sports app. You can get detailed, real-time scores, stats, news, rumors, fantasy news, team and player comparisons, built-in social network feature, which is integrated with Twitter and Facebook. Create a private one-to-one or, group chat with your friends. Buy and sell tickets, host a tailgate party, or even a pickup game. One sports app for all your sports information. Make sure you go download Yelphi Sports app at the iTunes App Store. Yelphi, the only sports app that you need.
All Noise Radio,
Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Hey, this is Jerry Napoleonello, host of Running Up the Score. We are live once every week at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we hit on all the top headlines in the world of sports. You can also find us on Stitcher, iTunes, and those of you that like the visual aspect, check us out on YouTube. Running Up the Score. We run up the score on Sports Radio.
Cyberstation USA is the future of radio. Get your business into the online future at the world's largest internet radio station. From banner placement on our homepage to any of our broadcaster stages, commercials on our video player, audio spots on any of our shows, or at the beginning of any of our on-demand broadcasts. Cyberstation USA offers competitive rates with a worldwide reach. A fully integrated one-stop shop social media broadcast platform. For more information, please contact our sales department at Cameo at cyberstationusa.com.
Follow the NFL this season on Running Up the Score.
I torture you, take my hand through the flame. I torture you, I'm a slave to your games. I wanna chain you up, I wanna tie you down.
Now back to Running Up the Score. Here's Jerry.
I'm a sucker for pain. I got the squad tatted on me from my neck to my ankles. The pressure from the man got us all in rebellion.
All right. The World Series has been everything we have wanted.
Wait, do you have rights to all this music?
I don't have rights to that. No.
Don't sue us.
No, please
I
don't.
love it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Which brings up that daunting question that I brought up before with this generation of baseball. Is baseball back? And we'll definitely get into that. But first, call in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. You can also follow and tweet us at RUTS Sports, as well as follow us on Instagram at RUTS Sports. Check out our website, www.rutsports.weebly.com. Do you want to plug yours?
Yeah, you can check out Sport Hard's the name of my show, the Sport Hard Radio Show. You can check it out cyber-fm.com, Thursdays at 10 a.m. And TrentCaldwell.com, we got the last 3, and then at SoundCloud, you can check out the last 6 or so. So if you want to go back and listen to things that happened 6 weeks ago, be my guest.
There you go.
Some
Check
of it's
that
very
out.
good. Depends on who's there.
Let's get into the World Series quick. And I'm just basically, is baseball back? That was the biggest question. But now I want to kind of say, with the World Series, the last 2 years, and how I think these 2 World Series have brought baseball back, even if it was pushed away, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Now, and I said earlier that we were going to bring up what's the difference in greatness between this year's and last year's. Mm-hmm. And my biggest thing was that this year, you're getting a hell of a lot of offense. Yeah. And, crazy games. I mean, this game was a 13-12 game, 10-inning game. And it's just on the edge of your seat type of thrill, type of entertainment when it comes to this. Last year was more of who's going to break their streak of not winning a World Series. And I think it was more so with the Cubs because everybody wanted to see that.
Let's not sell the actual games short. There was some very dramatic games.
Absolutely.
And possibly the best Game 7 we've ever seen.
To me, that was the
everything
best
in that game.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sell that. I believe last year's was better. I mean, I'm a Cubs fan, so I'm biased here. But throw that out the window or try to as much as I can. There was so much more on the line between those two. Like you could feel the tension in the air with every pitch in either stadium.
Yeah.
Now there's a little bit of that here, but they don't have. Houston maybe tortured a little bit, but. Yeah. these aren't two fan bases that have lived through the suffering that the Cubs fans had, and really the Cleveland fans with a lot of other sports as well until the Cavs won. So I don't feel that in this. I will say you had more viewers last year because to the casual fan. It was more accessible. Here's your storyline.
Yeah.
Here's what these two teams are fighting. History's the bad guy. They're both the good guy, but they also have to fight each other.
Yeah.
This you don't really have that, and not a lot of people know the Astros, even though it's a big market. So it's been reliant on these juiced baseballs to break it out of it, which to me means they made the right call because we have this. Now it's going to negate some records that we're going to have to look at down the road. But it's added so much drama that it really, like we said at the top of the show, like you can't go get something to drink. That part of it was not so much present last year. Also, these games are on the West Coast, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we're getting these, like last night, it was a 5-hour game. It wasn't over till 1:30.
Yeah. And, the feel that I got from this, as you were saying, like the tension of, the history and everything like that from last year, the thing that I got from this series so far is the beginning. It's the beginning of the Houston Astros. It's the beginning of a young Dodgers team.
But we had that last year. It was the beginning of the Cubs and the beginning of the Indians.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a great time to be a baseball fan.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of all this talent.
Yeah. All the young talent.
The Yankees have a lot of young talent.
Yeah, absolutely. The Red Sox were young at one point until they started to make the trades because they felt like that they were there. And
the Diamondbacks are on the come up a little bit. There's a lot to like.
Yeah, and they're starting to get to that point where the players are being like even bigger, I guess you could say now. Like, the thing that was missing for the last couple of years was, a young Ken Griffey Jr., a young Alex Rodriguez, guys that kind of turned that sport at that time around. Now you kind of have that in a Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Aaron Judge.
All these guys have one thing in common. This is something Barry Bonds didn't have. It's something Mark McGwire didn't have. They're having fun, and they're visibly having fun.
Yeah.
There was such a frowned upon, like almost like golf, where it's like, don't show your emotions. You got to be cool.
Yeah.
Even the pitchers whose job it is to keep cool. Yep. You have some personalities out there.
That was the other thing, because I don't know if you remember, it was a couple of years ago, and Jabba Chamberlain was just on the come up with the Yankees, and he showed his emotions on the mound. But more and more people came out bashing him for that.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of changed. You got Fernando Rodney shooting an arrow up in the sky. You got Yasiel Puig going to third base on a triple with his tongue out like a dog. Different stuff like that. I mean, Carlos Correa hits a home run, stops, jumps up in the air.
Puig to me though,
he's more of an idiot when it comes to
it's more self-centered.
Yeah.
It's more about him. I'm not a Puig fan. I'm a fan of his game.
Yeah.
But I like that he has a personality, but I like it in the way that I like to root against him.
Yeah.
I think baseball needs some of those guys too. That you got to have your enemies. You got to have your David Wells or your John Rockers or these guys. So to me, that's him because it's not. I feel like it's not always about team.
Yeah.
Whereas if you watch the Astros, I defy you to not smile. They're having so much fun, even when we all should be mad at them for what Gurriel did.
Yeah.
Or even madder at the Astros fans to me for giving me a standing ovation, which was disgusting, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. I'm not so mad at the kid. He's a kid.
Yeah.
You know. I do think he should have been suspended a World Series game and not 5 games next year.
I understand where Manfred came from, though, because all he would have done was appeal it and end up playing anyway. So it just would have threw off everything. Yeah. So at least now
it was smart on Manfred's part.
Exactly. Right. So altogether, it sucks that he did something like that. It's just at that point now that there's cameras everywhere, so you're not going to get away with anything.
Right.
Not that I'm saying, oh, you know what, he should do that, without a camera around. But
also you're a minority. There's plenty of people doing that to you.
Yeah.
Would you like that to be done to you and your culture?
Exactly.
Like it's kind of like, all right.
Exactly. So that I felt like, barring that, I guess, altogether, this.
But I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how good the game was. Like, I'd forgotten all that stuff. Yeah. And sometimes we get caught up in the outside of the lines, things that we forget. That in between the lines is kind of where the purity is. Yeah. And you can really see them. The Dodgers, too. I mean, the exception of Puig. I mean, all those young guys. You can really see, like, watching Cody Bellinger struggle and then break out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's pure joy on his face. And it's really exciting to watch.
Yeah, overall, I thought this World Series has everything that you would want from anything, I guess. But, we can get into some college football now. And you had a segment that you wanted to get into.
Yeah, but my co-host for Sport Hard didn't show up, so this was a segment we were going to do on my show. But we're going to do it here, running up the score. It's Halloween, Jerry.
Yes, it is.
It's Halloween, and that means scary movies. So a lot of people, especially watching in the New York area, to be honest with you, even those who think they do, don't know anything about college football. They really don't. Their college football knowledge is slim to none. So I've made a little primer. These are the top 10 teams currently ranked. Tomorrow, the BCS polls come out. Those are the polls that matter. The top 4 in that poll goes to the postseason. College football's postseason, their playoffs. So these are the top 10 teams. I've compared them all to scary movies. We'll start with number 10, TCU. They're 7-1. Your movie is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, mostly because they're from Texas. And, Texas is coming on a little bit. For those of you who don't know, Texas is a major hotbed of recruiting, and the Texas Longhorns were a perennial power, one of the great teams, because they've fallen on hard times. It makes TCU currently the best Texas team. Now, LaDainian Tomlinson went there, Andy Dalton went there. They've got some history.
Yes,
but the Big 12's kind of a slog here, as they all are about to play each other. So Oklahoma State's in the mix. Oklahoma is in the mix, and that's it's going to come out in the wash who wins the Big 12 here in the next few weeks. So that's what TCU's going to have to earn their keep here. Yeah. So it's going to be a little they're going to have to be a little Leatherface here and chop through everybody in order to get to the top. Against number 8, Oklahoma. I know I skipped 9, but I'm going to go to 8 because I'm just talking about them. Their movie's Psycho. That's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, okay.
Baker Mayfield is the competitor that Deshaun Watson is, mixed with, I don't know, we'll call it John Rocker, like we just mentioned him. Or how about Kenny Powers? Kenny Powers meets Deshaun Watson. That's Baker Mayfield. So I love him. I hate him for when he planted the flag on Ohio State, because I think it was a bad move, because you might run into them again. I don't know if it's the smartest move, but again, he's psycho.
Exactly.
So what do you want from him? Number 7, the Penn State Nittany Lions. They're 7-1. Their movie is Alien, and that is Saquon Barkley. If you have not watched him, he's incredible.
Yeah, I think he's got to go number 1.
It's on the table. I mean, look, we haven't seen a running back in college this good, in my opinion, since Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
He's better than Ezekiel Elliott. He's better than, pick your poison, Leonard Fournette, whoever you want. To me, Barkley is better. Now, Ohio State's defensive line shut him down in the second half of a comeback win in the best college football game of the year, probably, or one of them.
Fox did pretty well.
Yeah, they did. And but Ohio State's defensive line has 6 guys who are going to play in the NFL, so that happens from time to time. He also had a 96-yard kickoff return in that game and a 36-yard touchdown. He's great. Now we'll go to number 9. That's the Miami Hurricanes. Their movie is Misery, because Miami's one of the few current undefeated teams. It's Wisconsin, Georgia, Alabama, Miami, Central Florida, if you want to go down that far. But they haven't really played anybody. And your movie is Misery, Miami, because you still have Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, possibly an ACC championship game. You're not running the table, and your schedule's not good enough to get in. So you might as well have you seen Misery?
Yeah.
Kathy Bates takes a big sledgehammer to James Caan foot. It's a good movie. But that's you, Hurricanes. Don't get your hopes up. You're Jimmy Caan. All right. Where do we leave off? I guess we'll go to number 6. That's Clemson. Clemson 7-1. Clemson's movie's 28 days later, because you only have NC State remaining until the ACC championship game. So in about a month, Clemson at one point was number 2 in the country. In about a month, we're going to find out how good Clemson is.
Yeah.
They don't play a ton of teams, so they're really positioned well to kind of jump up in this mix in that top 4. Another team positioned well, that's number 5, Notre Dame. Your movie is They Live. Rowdy Piper. Have you seen this movie, by the way?
I've heard of it.
There is a fight scene that goes on for like 20 minutes. I'm not kidding you. It's Keith David and Roddy Piper, and it just keeps going. It's incredible. Notre Dame, they live because you've been down so long, but don't look now, everybody. Notre Dame's good.
Yeah, they are.
They're the real deal, and they've really got a shot to get to this final. If they're not going to play a conference championship game, which burns them.
Yeah.
But, they've got Miami on the road. They've got Stanford left. But their only loss is to Georgia, who's number 2. And that was a good game. So, watch out for Notre Dame there. Wisconsin, number 4. Your movies Get Out because you're 8-0 and you didn't play anybody. And look, Wisconsin's good. They run the ball. They always run the ball well.
Yeah.
They got better quarterback play than they usually get. They always play stout defense. They're solid tacklers. They're physical up front, a lot of good linemen. But the Big Ten, you're ducking Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State. They don't play any of those teams.
Yeah.
So they're going to waltz in to a Big Ten championship and probably get steamrolled by whoever comes out of there. That's number 3, my Ohio State Buckeyes. Your movie's Close Encounters of the Third Kind because your special teams is awful. 174. They would be an invincible team, but they are currently 174 in special teams in major college football. Big chink in the armor for number 3. Number 2, Georgia, 8-0. Your movie's The Grudge because you still got Alabama sitting there. And Georgia and Alabama, last time they played, 32-28. Chris Conley, the receiver for the Kansas City, was tackled with 5 seconds left. And Georgia lost. So they're going to be looking for some payback if they catch the Crimson Tide. You're 8-0. Your movie is The Dead Zone because everyone wants to anoint Alabama. Let me tell you something, Jerry. Alabama hasn't played a ranked team yet.
Yeah.
They played Florida State, which now doesn't look so hot.
Yeah.
Although,
what happened to them?
Well, they lost their starting quarterback. Who they had when they played Alabama. To be fair, they had DeAndre Francois. And Alabama is very, very good, but I don't think we've seen how good they are. They have LSU, they got Auburn, they got Mississippi State, they got SEC championship game. To me, this Alabama team's not as good as last year. So
no.
I don't. Now the rest of the field hasn't looked so hot either, but I can see them getting tripped up. I'm not ready to anoint Alabama as the walk-away champion until I see them beat somebody of note. Maybe this week, maybe LSU.
Yeah.
That's it. They're all scary movies. Enjoy your Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had sound effects on my show, but it's not my show.
Before we get into the picks, I wanted to talk about, because we were talking about with baseball and how you were saying that you're seeing so much enthusiasm out of these players and, they're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you saw earlier in the week, maybe midweek, I guess, last week, the Warriors were playing, I forget who it was, and they were up like 15. Comes down to the end of the game, a guy gets a fast break, throws it off the backboard, dunks it.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you, because I have an opinion on it, my question to you, and you're a Cavs fan, so you don't like the Warriors. So, what do you have a problem with him throwing it off the glass and dunking it? Because to me,
no.
That I think is like, why can't he do that?
No, I don't think the players care. I mean, look. If you do anything, someone's going to try to turn it into bullets.
Oh, absolutely.
So you got to be aware of that. But it's the beginning of the season,
and it wasn't.
We haven't seen. Everyone's getting their legs under them. We haven't seen. A lot of these teams haven't even gelled yet. We've seen a lot of examples of this.
Yeah, the fact that they were making a big deal out of it, I was like, let the kid play. So what? You know what? If you don't want him to throw it off the glass, the famous saying is, stop him.
Well, and it's your funeral. Guys will remember that. It'll come back to him. Somebody will give him a hard forearm shiver when he comes in the lane next time, and he'll learn. That's it. These things take care of themselves.
Exactly.
It's time for Running Up the Score picks and predictions for Week 9.
All right. Well, we're going to start off with the Thursday night football game, an AFC rivalry game. Buffalo 5-2 at the New York Jets 3-5.
Suddenly intriguing game.
I know, right? Jets have totally demolished my expectations. Not that they're good, but just that they haven't been terrible. And they lost close games that they couldn't close out. I believe Buffalo is a really good team and definitely a playoff team, and I think Buffalo takes this one.
Me too, but hesitantly, because this is Buffalo's favored now. They haven't been in one of these games, so they don't exactly have the talent to do that. Although, if the Jets are the team, I would say they've got more talent than the Jets. So I'll go with the Bills.
Speaking of no talent, we have the Indianapolis Colts at 2-6, and they are playing in Houston at 3-4. Indy heard the dreadful news of Andrew Luck still feeling pain. It's more likely he won't be back. This team is just not good without him, and they don't have the it factor. And speaking of it factor, well, Deshaun Watson has it. Still has his bumps with interceptions, but he's a rookie, and I think that he'll take the next step once Bill O'Brien finally trusts him, as I was talking about before, and I think the Texans win this one on Watson's back.
I think the Colts are horrible. I mean, they hung around with the Bengals because the Bengals made a lot of mistakes and still lost. So I just, without Andrew Luck, no chance. And Watson's great, and I don't know if he's the greatest quarterback. Like Richard Sherman said, he's the greatest quarterback he's faced in a game that the Seahawks won, which is weird to say. But I love Watson. I like the Texans. I think he's hungry. He's just coming off a loss. They're going to be hungry, and Indy's going to feel like they can play with them, and I don't think that's the case.
And I mean, like when you look at it, Houston, when you put up 38 points, you're expecting to win. Like that's the biggest thing.
I will say Jacoby Brissett looked pretty good though. My first chance to really watch him, and
he's a big dude.
He's a big guy. He made some great throws in that game and kept his composure. Didn't leave the pocket too soon. He had some ups and downs, some rookie mistake things, but like really, he looks promising.
Yeah, and the quote that Richard Sherman basically said, it came out in the Monday Morning Quarterback. He basically said when they went to each other in the middle of the field, he said, "Listen, you played the best game as a quarterback against our defense, and we've played all the legends." That was his quote. But we'll see. Cincinnati,
better than Tom Brady, apparently.
Yeah, right. Cincinnati 3-4 at Jacksonville 4-3. Since he came back to win on Sunday, Jacksonville's defense, with the addition of Marcel Darius, will be too much for Dalton and the Bengals. Jags win this one handily.
I like the Jags too. I mean, because everything Jacksonville does well. Jacksonville coming off a bye, by the way.
Yeah.
The Cincinnati doesn't.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna rush the passer. They lead the league in sacks. So like, if they can't protect Andy Dalton against the Colts, they got no shot here. So I mean, look, the Bengals, they got to erase mistakes too. They keep making a ton of mistakes. Their attention to detail is way off. And Jacksonville, I think, takes this one, especially in Jacksonville.
Tampa Bay 2-5 at New Orleans 5-2. Bucks have just not lived up to anything. They just don't look good on either side of the ball, and they will show that in this one. Saints offense will light up the scoreboard and take the W in this one.
Yeah, Saints defense is playing much better, especially Marshawn Lattimore, who's been a revelation.
They're running the ball. They're this yesterday.
This is a trap game for Game Orleans to me.
It could be.
I kind of like Tampa Bay. Look,
it's a division
they have
game.
not played well. New Orleans has outplayed Tampa this year.
Yeah.
But this division game, a game Tampa Bay needs. New Orleans is feeling themselves a little bit, and they didn't look all that good, even though they won. So I mean, now they played in a swamp too, so it's hard to tell. I'm going to go ahead and take the Buccaneers. They have the talent to beat New Orleans.
Yeah.
They just gotta hold on. I mean, look, the turnovers from Jameis Winston, and we talked about it last year, and I was not a Jameis Winston fan coming into this year. It's like he turns it over too much. He's still doing that.
Yeah.
That's a problem for Tampa Bay now and in the future. But if he can put together a game where he doesn't do it, and I think New Orleans would be the team. Their defense is better, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
So.
The LA Rams 5-2 at the New York Giants 1-6. Rams are just too good for the Giants to handle them. Rams defensive line will demolish Eli Manning. Aaron Donald will have 3 sacks, and Gurley will have at least 100 and 2 touchdowns. Rams win this one.
Yeah, this would have been a game the Giants coming off a bye might have won, but so were the Rams. So it's bad luck. I'm kind of rooting for the Rams. I want them to succeed. No one wants to watch them, so they can force everyone to watch the Rams.
Yeah,
Giants
absolutely.
are bad. Rams.
Falcons 4-3 at the Carolina Panthers 5-3.
Oh boy.
Atlanta has struggled of late. Carolina is smoke and mirrors. Atlanta wins.
Look, both these teams haven't looked as good, but they both have winning records.
Yeah, I know.
It's like Cam Newton said. Cam Newton looked awful yesterday, but he came out as like, we won.
Yeah.
And he's got a point. Like, whoever loses this game may reveal themselves as the pretender, but the winner now is looking pretty good in the AFC South. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I think Matt Ryan may have found something last week. Okay. I think he might have figured something out, and I want to see him. I think, especially if Luke Kuechly does not play, he's always iffy depending on how he's feeling. Carolina's a different team without him in there. I'm gonna go Atlanta.
Denver 3-3 at Philly 7-1. Who knows what Broncos team will show up with? Will the defense come to play against Carson? And the defense, the Eagles' offense. As I said before, the Eagles aren't as good as we may think. I think this is going to be a tight game. I think Philly pulls it off because they're home.
They're home. Denver's on a short week. I like the Eagles. I think the key to this game is I think the Eagles' defense is better than people think. And I think they're going to give Denver, we all know Denver's defense is good. Carson Wentz is going to have to prove himself. I think Wentz has been very smart this year. He's had his moments, but, I don't think he's the best quarterback in the league this year, like some people are saying. But I was certainly good enough to beat Denver, depending on what Denver team you get. They're the definition of 3-3.
Yep.
They really are a Jekyll and Hyde. So,
Baltimore 4-4, Tennessee 4-3. This is a tough game to pick. Both teams are up and down. I'm going to pick Tennessee.
Tennessee's one of my most disappointing teams this year. I thought they'd be a lot better. They just don't seem to, the running the ball mentality that they used to have just seemed to have gone by the wayside. Marcus Mariota hasn't developed as much as I thought he would. I'm going to go, let me look at it again. Baltimore. Give me Baltimore. I don't even like saying it, but they won 40-0, I guess, last week, and they've got a long week to prepare. They played on Thursday.
That's true.
I'm going to go with the Ravens. Yuck. I don't like that at all.
Arizona 3-4 at San Francisco 0-8. This is another tough game to pick. Palmer is out for the season with a broken arm. I think the 49ers pull off their first win.
Yes, this has got to be it. If you don't do it now, look, the Niners have been in some games.
Yeah.
They got to do it. Arizona's not good. Come on, Niners. You cannot tie the Browns. You are better than the Browns.
Exactly. Washington 3-4 at Seattle 5-2. It's always the same narrative for me when it comes to the Seahawks, but they're home in this one. They win it.
Yeah, Washington's just too banged up.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally missing half their guys. And you're going into Seattle, tough place to play, like you said. Normally, this was a trap game for Seattle, coming off the high of that's such an exciting game against the Texans. But I just can't. Washington's just reeling too much, and Seattle, just hard to go in there and win, especially when you only have half your team with you.
Yeah. KC Chiefs 5-2 at the Dallas Cowboys 4-3. Tough game for Dallas. I believe if they can stop the run, they can make this a tough choice. They will need to run the ball as well. But who knows? We'll find out if Ezekiel Elliott will have his suspension put on hold or not this week. Who knows? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say the Cowboys need this one, and we'll end up gritting this one out.
I got to see how tonight goes. If Kansas City loses, they're going to be in desperation mode here, and this is going to be a tough game for the Cowboys. Also, if Kansas City, there's another team that's really hurt. If they had all their guys, they'd be in good shape. We don't know if Zeke's playing, and that's too much uncertainty for me. This is a tough one. I kind of need. This is one of the ones I need a couple days to think of. I'll take the Chiefs, just because someone's got to balance this thing out. We've had too many picks. So I'll go with Kansas City on this one.
Sunday Night Football is the Oakland Raiders 3-5 at the Miami Dolphins 4-3, and nobody's going to watch this game. Man, Oakland has so much potential, but is totally under their expectations. But they'll pull this one out in primetime.
How is Miami 4-3? I watch them play offense, and it looks like a biddy league team.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a disaster, and their coach came out this week and basically threw the team under the bus and said, these guys won't study the playbook. That's a horrible statement for a coach to make. Now, he doesn't want to say that, but something is wrong, and that seems to be it. They look lost out there.
Yeah.
Oakland just got spanked, so they're going to come in angry. Miami, how are they 4-3? I don't know. Anyway, Oakland, good luck. This is a good game for you to bounce back in.
Yeah. Monday Night Football, Detroit 3-4 at Green Bay 4-3. Great NFC North rival game here in Lambeau. Lions showed some great stuff on offense against the Steelers on Sunday, but struggled to score in the red zone. They'll need to score in this one, and I think the Lions will end up winning this one.
I'm going to go with the Packers because they've had a week to get over the Aaron Rodgers heartbreak, and I think they've moved on, and now they've got their game plan in place. And Detroit they're the team that's going to be in every game, but I just don't know how good they are.
Yeah.
You see flashes, but they should have had that Steeler game. They really had their moments and
they
could
were
have
in
put
the
it
red zone
away.
like 3 times.
But they can't seem to get over the hump.
No.
And this is the kind of game where just the stigma of the Packers always beat the Lions comes into play. I'm going to go with the Pack.
Yeah. And that will do it for the picks of the week. And that would really do it for the rest of the show.
Wow, that flew by.
Yeah, it did. We got into a lot of stuff. We got into college football. We got into.
Could have went deeper.
Yeah, we could have. We deep dove into the World Series. 100%.
That time of year.
But yeah, next week maybe we'll talk a little bit more about maybe the Cavs and Warriors opening that door. Opening that door for the rest of the league.
Been a rough start for the Cavaliers.
Yeah. But, if you ask LeBron, he said there's no panic.
It's early.
Exactly. That will do it for Running Up the Score. Thank you to our sponsor, Yellfy Sports App. You can download the app from the iTunes App Store by searching Yellfy. It's spelled Yellfy. Make sure to follow me at Jerry RUTS Sports, Tom at Tom RUTS Sports, and Kevin at Kevin RUTS Sports. We'll shoot you a follow back. It's a great app.
And follow me at the Buckeye Cub.
I
won't follow you back, but come on over.
There you go. That will do it. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure you go check out Trent's podcast show.
Sport Hard radio show. Check it out. Thursdays at 10. We already went through all this. They got it. If you don't know it by now, then if you're still listening, then check it out.
Yeah. We'll be back talking sports once again on Monday. As I said, that will do it. I'm Jerry.
Take care, everyone. I'm Trent.
Be breezy.
Be breezy.
And it is all over!
You've been listening to Running Up the Score.
We run up the score on Sports Radio.